Welcome back. This is Luis Mendez, and today we're going to be talking about moving to Polk County in 2026 and what it's like to live here versus any other Central Florida counties. And um, and then we're going to kind of compare this, I would say, to Orlando, since out of the four counties, Orange, Lake, Polk, and Osceola, um, I would say the number one place where everyone wants to live, or the prime spot, will be Orange County, where Orlando is, and then you have the other counties that kind of surround it. But today we're going to kind of talk about Polk County, what it's like to live there, the average cost of living in these places, the jobs, schools, and just the daily life. So Polk for those who don't know, Polk County is one of Central Florida's fastest growing places. Now, there is more space, more opportunity, and still overall more affordable than many parts of Florida. Now, that's comparing to the other counties. We're still way cheaper than Orlando, way cheaper than, I would say, south of Lake County, and of course, north of or most of Osceola County, I would say. But it is very affordable compared when you think of it like that. Um, and what's nice about it is you have I-4 right there that kind of cuts through the county, so it kind of makes it pretty nice. Now, today we're going to be breaking down the real cost, the lifestyle, big employers, and the essentials you wish someone would have told you before moving to a place. Well, here's me telling you what you should know before moving to Polk County, Florida. So let's start with the average home prices. In Polk County, the average home prices, and this is as of late 2025, it's about $295,000 for a house. And so that's comparing new houses and older homes, put a little mix together. That's about the average of a home is still under $300,000, way almost $100,000 cheaper than Orlando. So that's a huge difference. Your money reaches a lot more. You know, I know there's some places in Orlando, and I see these houses for $500,000, and I'm like, man, for this much, you could buy a way bigger house in Polk County. And so it really depends on what you're looking at. Um, I would say in all reality, you have, some of the nice older homes around the 260 price point. The newer homes, maybe four-bedroom homes, we're looking at probably 315 to 320 to kind of have a little bit more of of an idea of what's around. But these Polk County homes, they're more affordable, of course. When you consider that, but what's nice, again, like I mentioned before, you're right there off of I-4. You're in the middle. So if you have to head to Tampa, you're about an hour and a half away. You have to head to Orlando, you're about an hour away. I would say you're about an hour both sides to that. So that's pretty nice, especially if the closer you are to the I-4 area. Now, those who are renting, rent on average is about 1,800 to $2,000 per month. And when you think about it, to move into a rental, that could cost you up to $6,000. If you have to pay the first month rent, the last month's rent, plus a security deposit, $6,000 to move into a rental, where you could probably move into a house for way cheaper than that in Polk County. If you want to go to you could get a newer house for just a little bit more than that, or you could take advantage of USDA loans, meaning zero money down. There's lots of other programs, down payment assistance programs, especially if you're a first-time home buyer. But there's so many other benefits if you're looking to get into that. And the reason why I always point to buying is because just a few years ago, the average rental rate for Polk County was 1,300 bucks. So within just 4 or 5 years, it went from 1,300 bucks to $2,000 in such a high cost, where the mortgage rates, the mortgage prices have kind of dipped a little bit. So it's making it almost easier for you to own something if you have good, pretty decent credit. Not, I mean, 620 and up, we get you something versus, having to rent, and those who are renting for way less than 1,300 bucks. I mean, you're not going to find a mortgage for that. So I guess it'll be a good thing. But if you're paying close to $2,000, let's find you a house. We could get you something that you could probably earn equity within time. So Polk County is still low for rental rates compared to other neighborhoods. I've seen places in Orlando that are like $3,000 a month, and up to $5,000 a month. But of course, you're paying for the location. Um, but you know, it is climbing. You've seen it just a few years ago. It was like $700 cheaper. So there is a big jump right there. So um, that's something to think about. Now for electric, now you think about the typical monthly cost for most people. Electric, I would say overall is about 150 to $300 per month. Of course, depending on if you're someone who works at home all day and wants to keep the AC at 72 degrees year round, that might cause the bill to go up. But I would say on average is about that. If you have an older house that doesn't have so much insulation, then it could be a little bit higher. But on average, 150 to $300 is what most people I've ran into. They will talk about that, which kind of makes more sense. Water and garbage, I would say from 60 to about $150 a month, depending on how much water and land you use. I have a big garden. I have like about 50 fruit trees, so I use a lot of water to water my garden. So I'm a little bit over $100 on my water usage. The internet, we're talking about 60 to about $100. Now there is a shortcut. What I've done is I have T-Mobile. So T-Mobile has an internet thing that's like $35 a month, and I think is actually really good compared to some of these other ones that promises better internet speed that's over $100. Um, for $35, I actually have two of those routers. I have one for the house and one that I carry with me. If I'm traveling, I just plug it in my car. If I'm doing an open house, the house is vacant, I can plug it in there, and it's 35 bucks a month, and it's good enough for me to upload videos, stream, do a lot of different things. So it works out pretty well. But the other thing is groceries are a little bit higher. We're a little bit above average than the national average here in Polk County. I guess that's all pretty much all of Florida. We're a little bit higher than I guess most national average, and that is true. Same with gas. We took a vacation in December, and I noticed the gas in Florida is not way. It's about 20 cents more than, North Georgia, Tennessee, Kentucky area, even North Carolina. Those areas were a lot cheaper than Florida by about 20 cents, 25 cents, is give or take. So one aspect, you get to live in paradise, but Polk County is a cheaper paradise because if you want to go to the beach, you're just 1 hour away. If you want to go to a really nice beach, you're less than 2 hours away. You're closer to Disney. I mean, you don't have to stay at a resort. You could just drive 30, 45 minutes. Bam, you're at Disney World and just come back home. So that's a huge plus. You're in a hub where a lot of people come here to vacation, and you could live here for a lot less cheaper than other counties, which is a huge plus. So groceries, gas might be up higher, but the cost of living is lower. Now, here's the thing. For newer houses or some communities, you have HOAs and CDD fees. HOAs and CDD, they're a little bit different. HOA is going to kind of maintain the property, maintain the neighborhood. The CDD is that'd be a whole nother topic where the builder comes in and instead of coming with all the money, they kind of borrow the money and they split it to all the owners for 30 years. But on average, I've seen HOAs often be about 60 to 100 to $250 a month, depending on the amenities. Now, if you're, the higher the amenities, we're talking is going to have a pool, like a pool, probably restaurant, bowling alley, all these fancy items. Mostly those higher cost ones are going to be, I would say, 55 plus neighborhoods or some elite, golf course neighborhoods where, you know, it's very few that are like $14,000 a month, which is, you know, I wouldn't say very, very few, like one, but on average, they're about 60 to $250. Of course, the higher cost, more amenities they have. Same with the CDDs. I would say majority of the neighborhoods that have pools, that's going to have a pool and a gym. A lot of those do have CDDs, just putting it out there. Now, keep in mind, KB Homes is probably one of the only ones that do not have a CDD for those, but their HOAs are higher. So, in my opinion, if you're going to live in a neighborhood and pay a HOA, I would hope the neighborhood would have something that's, like a community pool or a gym or a playground, something for the family to enjoy. That's just my opinion. I'm more of a non-HOA. I love, planting whatever I want. I love, the kind of like the space, the outdoors. I love having my own rules. But if you like that cookie cutter, St. Augustine grass, nice, squared out, pristine, HOA is for you. And there's a lot that are very, very nice. So, so always know the difference, and we could find you quite a lot because there's some neighborhoods I think that are a little bit better than the other, and the cost is just about the same, if not a little bit less. Now, thinking about jobs in Florida, um, well, specifically Polk County, I would say the number one employer I've noticed here is the Polk County Public Schools with over 13,000, around 13,000 employees. Then we have Publix, Polk County is the home of Publix. You don't want to, that's one, in a sense that, to be honest, that's one reason why in the past I didn't want to leave. I like move out of Florida. I was like, I can never leave Florida. I mean, what am I going to do without a Publix sub? But, it was pretty cool. We went on vacation. We went all the way up to like, North Kentucky, just right south of Cincinnati, Ohio. And it was pretty cool to find a Publix out there. They just opened up a Publix. And the coolest thing is we actually met someone from Lake Wells, where I'm at right now, working all the way up in North Kentucky. So, but you have Publix, lots of Publix jobs here, especially the warehouse. That's where the main Publix warehouse is in Polk County and Lakeland. You have the Lakeland Regional Hospitals. There's two, and they're like developing two big hospitals here in Lake Wells, which is going to provide thousands of jobs. Walmart is a big employer here. The city of Lakeland, believe it or not, Lakeland's a huge area. They have over 2,000 staff workers there. Geico has over 2,000. Winter Haven Hospital has a lot. Southeastern University, Polk State College. These are higher, paid, jobs as well. Legoland, Florida, which is our own theme park here in Polk County, which is pretty nice. And then you have companies with Mosaic, which Mosaic is something where at least once a year you're going to find some random person that works at Mosaic or they know someone that works at Mosaic. I mean, that's like one of the main factories, at least south of Polk County, most people work at. Amazon is very familiar. There's lots of warehouses for that. State Farm, CSX Transportation, that is a huge importance in Florida, as I know there is a Chick-fil-A factory that's going to be opened up right next, or have access to that train so they could kind of distribute food to different sections of Florida. And there's also other jobs as well, so there's lots of factory, there's health, retail, distribution centers, and big education here. But what I've noticed for people who makes the most money, or at least who could purchase without having any issues, are those who are working remote jobs. You know, they're They work from home. They have a computer job. Their company is probably like in New York, Texas, California, or, somewhere around the world. Or they're part of a trade, HVAC, plumbing, electric, they're a mechanic, some sort of a trade. I would say especially the trade, you know, if and the reason I'm saying this, if you're thinking for your kids what to get into, the trade, people who I've seen that are in trade, they make some good money. I've had nurses who, yeah, they make good money, but they're in so much debt. Where those who are in trade, they're killing it. They're making so much money. Um, you know, I would kind of shoot for that, but just to have something in mind, those who are in trade do make really good money here in Polk County as well. Now, for education, the number one school in Polk County is homeschool. And the reason I say this, not that other schools are bad, I'm sure they're good. I know I'm probably got quite a few people offended by that, but I'm just a homeschool advocate. I think the best person to train your kids, to teach your kids is you. I feel, we homeschool our son, and I just feel like I'm able to teach him way more than I learned. When I was growing up, I felt like I didn't learn so much in school. I had, pretty bad experience. And now with my son 6 years old, he's learning English, Spanish, Portuguese. He's learning ASL. He's learning how to play different instruments. And I get to take him with me to work. He gets to learn the skill of being a realtor. He gets to learn. We get to do so many field trips to take him. He gets to learn about bugs. We take him to like different science places. And, you know, I feel like what I get to do for my son is like school on steroids. He gets to learn so much and he's so involved. I mean, we spend like, right now, or every month we focus on two different countries, We focus on one of all of Pan America, all of the Pan Americans countries, all the Latin countries, and then we pick another country from around the world and we kind of focus on these things. We focus on their, different languages and some of their culture, and he gets to learn so much. And it becomes, instead of spending like 6 hours in school, which I feel like some of the teachers may not truly appreciate the kids. And there's a lot of kids who are bullies, and sometimes there could be some scary situations at school where my son is always constantly learning. And I just feel like the education that you could do for a homeschool kid, in my opinion, it's 10 times more than any public school, private school could do. And you get to be with your child. I kind of think it sucks where you send your kids, or you have folks who say, I don't, I can't wait to get my kid back to school. I don't want to see it's just kind of weird. I like having my kids or my son around, and I would, I highly promote that. If you like a public school, another school, that's on you. This is me sharing my opinion. Now, with that, for higher education, when they do graduate, I recommend doing a trade. I feel like that works out better. But there's other schools that could do that. Which you have Polk State College, which is here, which is in, it's public, but it's within Winter Haven, Lakeland campuses. There's also one in Lake Wells. There's a private school, which is Southeastern University. That's out by Lakeland. It's supposedly a Christian university. And also you have Florida Southern College, which is a small private college. And then we also have Weber and Warner University that are both smaller universities here in Polk County. One's in Bartow, the other one's in Lake Wells. So there's quite a few different schools to get into. If you want to, get your kid in, to higher education, there's multiple options, so they don't have to move away. You could kind of still have them here and grow here, which may be something you'll be interested in. Now, the lifestyle and commute, Polk County is spread out. A lot of locals are panicking because there's a lot of constructions going on, but compared to like Tampa, Lake County, or Osceola County, or Orange County, we still have a lot of space. I'm not, I feel sad for all the orange trees going out, but sadly, a lot of these people sold these farms a long time ago. That's, which is a sad thing. But the commutes are still about 30 minutes away. And it's not because of traffic so much as it's really because there's just a lot of space between different counties. Like if you're in Lake Wells, you want to go to Lakeland, it's about a 45-minute drive. If you're in Lake Wells going to Davenport or Posner Park, it's about a 30-minute drive. So just kind of have that in mindset of where you're at. Um, now, the to wrap things up, look, Polk County is still more affordable than many other counties, but things are slowly going up. So if you're looking to buy, I would say buy now. If you're an investor, it's a good thing to buy and wait, buy and hold. If you're flipping a house, I don't think it's the best opportunity to flip a home, only because there's so much competition with new constructions where you flip a house, but yet your next door neighborhood is selling the same type of house, probably the same price, if not cheaper, or with cheaper interest rates. So if you're looking for an investment wise, think long term. If you're looking for first time home buyers, let's get you into something that's going to fit your area, your lifestyle. So that's my opinion on Polk County. This is going to be, truly something, to think about. I think there's lots of options, lots of opportunity to live in Polk County. There's a lot of good things. I love it here. I grew up a lot in Orlando. I moved to Orlando in 1998, and I just moved to Polk County in 2019. And when I lived in Orlando, I thought Polk County was that super country. There's nothing out there. And I was, blessed to buy a house in Polk County in 2019 for $75,000. And it's crazy because I was a realtor, 5 years before that. And I wish I would have came to Polk County way before to see how and buy a lot of land, bought a lot of land and homes because homes were a lot cheaper back then. Now prices have gone up so much, but life and everything was way cheaper. I'm telling you, in Polk County than it was, how it was 10 years ago than it is now, but it's going up. So if you're looking for a place to build equity, this is the place, and you got to do it fast. I remember about 5 years ago, I had a client. They were moving here from New Jersey, had $500,000 price point. They're like, Luis, I want to buy a house, $500,000 the max. I want to go to Winter Park, in Orlando. And I was like, all right. And when we looked at houses, they were tiny. And this was like three generations living in one home. The grandma was moving in and the kids, they graduated school, but they wanted to stay, with the family and they wanted something big. $500,000 wasn't going to get them anything in Polk County, but they all worked from home. The mother was retired. The parents, they worked from home, and then the kids, they also worked from home. So just kind of, they all wanted, to be there. So it didn't matter the location. I was like, do you mind if I show you some places in Polk County? You want to be close to a Sam's? I'm like, we got you. You guys want to be close to I-4, want to be close to these places? I'm like, I have a place to show you, may consider 'em. And we ended up finding a home for them for $475,000. And we're talking a huge house. It's about 2,500 square feet, but I mean, the bedrooms were all like master size bedrooms. One of the bedrooms had its own fireplace. I mean, it was it could fit me inside the fireplace. It was large. And then also, mind you, it had three fireplaces in the house, had two really large living rooms. It had a large kitchen and a large like bonus room where they had the previous people there. They had enough for like a game room, an office, and a dining room. That's how big that area was. And then outside, it had a big pool, had lots of avocado trees. I mean, it was very, very nice house. Well, that one, they bought it for $475,000. And this was 6 years ago. This was just around COVID time. Now that same house was just talking about it not too long ago. It's well over $800,000 in just a short amount of time. So just putting that into perspective, Orlando is growing and a lot of people are moving to Orlando, but Orlando is not cheap anymore. So people who can't afford Orlando, they're being, pretty much bought out of, priced out of paradise where they're coming to Polk County. And that means the prices are going to go up. So if you're looking for something to take advantage of, looking for something that's going to be equity in the long run, this is it. Polk County is it. My house, I bought it for 75. It's now worth, even with the down market, it's worth $175,000. It jumped up so much. So if you're looking for a place to grow equity, this is your spot, in my opinion. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, if it gave you any benefit or any value, please like, subscribe, and thank you for watching.